Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I love CAIR events because every non-Muslim on stage competes to see who can say the best Assalamu alaikum. There's always one congressperson who is like, Assalamu alaikum. It's the first time they ever said it. No, this is so wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for coming and for having me back. I was here 5 years ago. I performed the 20th anniversary here, and it's so lovely to be back. And I remember that very distinctly because the day after I performed here for the 20th anniversary, Pam Geller wrote an article about me and said that I was supported and funded by the Muslim Brotherhood comedy circuit. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Muslim Brotherhood, but they don't have a comedy circuit. And if they do, please let them know I'm available if they want me to do anything like that. I flew here today from New York City. I'm kind of jet lagged, but I almost didn't make it. My flight was canceled, and I had to rebook it, and I was very nervous that I wasn't going to be able to come. And I asked a lot of my friends to pray for me, and they all prayed for me, and I guess their prayers worked because I'm here tonight. Thank you. The problem is that half my friends are Muslim and the other half are Catholic, and so there's no way to know, based on the fact that I'm here, which religion is true. And I feel like next time I need to ask half of them to pray that I make it and half to pray that I don't make it, and then I'll have atheists as the control group in the experiment sending me thoughts. I think that's making it a good, valid experience. I have a lot of Muslim fans, especially Pakistani fans, and it's really awesome. I love that so much. And it's a lot. Well, I mean, first of all, this food is really, really good. And this is how, I don't know if you're not familiar with this, but this is how Muslims try to convert you to Islam, is they feed you so much that in order to not gain weight, you have to fast. And they're like, you're already fasting. It's one pillar down, 4 to go, Jeremy. Let's do this. Let's do this. And I'm not just talking about banquets either. I do a lot of shows at comedy clubs, and Pakistani women will come to the comedy clubs with biryani. And recently I was doing a show in New York, and this Pakistani woman, she came to the show, she had biryani, she gave it to me, and she also gave me with the biryani her address. And I was like, whoa, is she hitting on me? No, that was so I could mail the Tupperware back to her. And I don't blame her. It was very nice Tupperware. It was like the OXO brand. It was very nice. I don't blame her. I don't blame her one bit. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, and I think it's quite different than here. But I don't know how it is here, but in my experience, Muslims tend to know more about Christianity than Christians know about Islam. Do you guys feel like that's true? You guys feel like that's true? Like most of the Christians that I know don't know that Muslims also believe in Jesus, right? They don't know that. And none of them know that Muslims also believe that Jesus is coming back, right? Like at the end of time, he'll come back, he'll kill Trump, and then there's this, I think that's what it says. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I feel like I haven't read it. Anyway, but it's weird to me that Christians don't know that Muslims also believe that Jesus is coming back, which means that if Islam is true and Jesus does come back, there's going to be a lot of very excited and then very confused Christians who are just like, Jesus, you're back. This is great. We were right. Thank you for coming. And he's like, you're welcome. Assalamu alaikum. We're like, what? Oh, no. We're wiping pork stains off our pants. We're like, no, it's something else. It's a weird time to be religious in America. I know religion's going down, especially my religion is going down, and y'all seem to be doing pretty good. I don't know if y'all have seen the statistics, but our numbers are going down. Muslims tend to be doing pretty well. And one result of this, I don't know if you have this here in California, is that there are a lot of churches that are becoming mosques. You guys have seen these, right? And it's fine. It's our fault that we don't go to church, so, no offense, right? But one thing I don't like is when you don't even change the outside of the church, right? You drive by, it still looks exactly like a church. You even leave the cross up. You're like, no, it's a T. It stands for takbir. It's just, Just come on in, you're fine, come on in. And here's the thing is that I know that at some point, this is my concern, at some point there's going to be a Christian family who moves in down the street, all right, starts attending and never realizes it's a mosque. They're just like, man, we've been going to this new church. It's very different, you guys. It's so different. Like, all the church services are on Fridays. You know, they make you take your shoes off before you walk in. It's very Japanese. We love it. We love it. A lot of nuns. Every woman in there is a nun, and they're progressive Catholics, too. They let them marry and have kids and everything. They're great nuns. And, all the baptisms are in the bathroom. It's just very wet in there all the time. I don't know why. No, they're very devout Christians. They baptize themselves like 5 times a day. They are on fire for the Lord. Can I get an amen? They are, they're so good. And anyway, we've been going like 2 years, still have no idea what they're saying, but we never learned Latin, so that's our fault. I don't know Latin. I'm trying to learn Urdu. Anyone here speak Urdu? If you do, come up to me afterwards and teach me something, right? I don't know it very well. I'm trying to learn. It started like a few years ago. I got a comment on one of my statuses, and it said, Jeremy, you're my favorite Gora. And I was like, I don't know what that means. So I put it into Google Translate. Google Translate said it meant horse. And I was like, is that good in Pakistan to be a horse? I have no idea. I went to Pakistan this past August, just a few months ago, and it's a wonderful country. Everybody should go. It's a lot of fun. And but when I got there, I went in August, which is super, super hot. And so everyone there was complaining about being hot. So they were saying, "Germi." Germi, right? But I'm so arrogant, I would overhear them and be like, it's actually Jeremy. Just so you know. I know you recognize me and everything. I know you recognize me. But it's actually Jeremy. And they're like, no, Germi. And I'm like, no, Jeremy. It's Jeremy. Oh, man. I had a wonderful time, though. But before I went, I know I had to tell, this is like 3 years ago, the first time I went to Pakistan, I had to tell my family that I was going. And my family doesn't really know you guys that well. And my mom, bless her heart, she was like, well, she had a few questions. First thing she asked was, Jeremy, when you perform on stage, how are you going to be able to tell if the women are laughing? And I was like, what do you mean, because like the lights are too bright? And she was like, no, you know. And I'm like, oh, okay, no, the burqas move a little bit. It's totally fine. It'll be totally fine. And then I was like, yeah, like their husbands will tell me if they thought I was funny, right? My wife thought you were very funny. Hand me a note that just says ha 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 on it. I'm like, wow, thank you. Her next question was a little more serious. She was like, Jeremy, you're a Christian. If you go to Pakistan, someone's going to kill you. And I was like, no, Mom, you don't understand. All the people that want to kill me live right here in the United States. All right, I'll be fine in Pakistan. Matter of fact, if I ever had to flee the United States, that's where I would go. Right? I would flee the United States. I would go to a city called Abbottabad. Because apparently you can hide there for years and years and years and years. No one ever knows you're there. It's totally... That was a Bin Laden joke. Those of you who don't... I made a mistake, though. I did this tour in Pakistan, and I told that joke in Islamabad. And this woman in the audience, she stands up, and she gets real mad, and she says, excuse me, I'm from there. And I was like, really? You're from Abbottabad? And she was like, yeah, and it's not pronounced Abbottabad. I was like, well, how do you say it? She was like, it's Abbottabad. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's why we couldn't find him. And, like, it just makes perfect sense. Like, for years, George W. Bush was like, we got to go to Abbottabad. We got to go get him. He's probably in there. CIA's like, we have no idea what he's saying. What is that? Is that even a city? What? Let's just wait for the next guy. So they did. Obama took office. He says things correctly. He's like, it's Abbottabad in Pakistan. They're like, oh, okay, I'll get it right now. That's how it is. That's how it is. I came home, though, and I'm safe and sound. I have a wife named Stephanie, and I have a beautiful 1.5-year-old baby girl named Jewel. She's so great. Yep. Her name's Jewel. She'll change it later when she converts to Islam. But for now, her name is Jewel. It's the placeholder name that we have for her. She's it's funny to me. I get a lot of like white Muslims trying to talk to me after events because they want another one, you know. And they always like try and talk to me. And one thing I've noticed is that a lot of times you can tell when they converted by the names of their kids. You ever notice that? Like, they're introducing their kids, and they're like, this is John, James, Muhammad, Ahmed. And you're like, it's like, after James? And they're like, yeah, it was after James. I'm like, oh, okay. I said that in Seattle at an event, and there was a guy in front, and he was a white Muslim, and he has 2 kids with him. His little, like, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, Aryan Muslim kids with him. And he glared at me. And I was like, what's wrong, man? He's like, nothing. And I was like, what are your kids' names? And he said, Ralph and Iman. I was like, so after Ralph? He's like, yeah, after Ralph. For us, it's different. For Catholics, it's different. It's not the names. It's the ages of the kids. That's how you can tell when someone became Catholic. Because they're like, these are my kids. They're 15, 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. My wife gave birth last night, and we're pregnant. Whoa! So like 6 years ago, you became gay? Yeah, how'd you know? How'd you know? How'd you know? Yeah, I guess I'm super Catholic because my wife is due in 2 weeks, which is pretty great. Yep, gonna have a boy. Pretty awesome. Really excited about that. My wife is super Catholic. She actually wanted to be a nun when she was growing up. That's true. Like, she planned her whole life to be a nun. I don't know if you know what nuns are, but nuns in the Catholic Church are married to Jesus. That's what we believe, right? So, like, they're married to Jesus. So my wife, her whole life, had planned to marry Jesus, and then they broke up before the wedding, right? She left him at the altar. He's still there. You can go see him. And that's a great altar joke. Don't back away from that. It's okay to laugh. And, right, so they broke up, and then she married me instead, which I don't know if any of you have wives whose ex-boyfriends are a lot more successful than you, but I do, because my wife's ex-boyfriend is Jesus, and I don't think she's over him either. She talks to him every day. There's pictures of him all around the house. Talks to his mom more than my mom. It's very upsetting. And I have to try and convince my wife that I'm a little bit like Jesus, you know, like, okay, like I quit my job at the age of 30 to walk around, to travel around talking to people, all right? My mom's name is Mary, all right? And most of my fans are Muslim. So, like, in those three ways, I'm like, a little bit there. My daughter, Jewel, she just learned how to say her name. Like, she just made the connection that Jewel is her name, and she's very excited, but she doesn't really say it correctly. So I was on the road this past week, and my wife, she sends me this video, and I open it up and I play it, and it's my daughter walking around the library going, Jew, 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 and everyone in the library is like, oh my gosh. These white nationalists are getting younger and younger and younger. This is terrifying. No, she's not Jewish. We're actually worried that my daughter might be Muslim, okay? And not in the way that you guys are like, every baby's Muslim, which is super aggressive, by the way. Like, if you're not Muslim, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're like, this is my daughter. Like, no, you know, she's a Christian. No, she's not. She's Muslim. You just don't know it yet. It's the fitra. The fitra. Like, no, she's baptized. Didn't work. The fitra. Still there. She knows. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about there are some signs that she might be Muslim. Number one, she was born on the first day of Ramadan. Okay, yeah, absolutely. And she was late. So it's like 2 weeks past her due date. I'm like, this baby's on Muslim time. This is not okay at all. I don't appreciate this at all. She eats at really weird times of the day. It's like 1 a.m. and she wants dinner. And I'm like, this is not white scheduling at all. This is very upsetting. It's like 4 p.m., time for lunch. What? I don't understand it. But no, the main reason, and I'll leave you guys with this has been a lot of fun. The main reason we think my daughter might be Muslim is that we've been reading to her every night, all right? She loves being read to. One book in particular, it's a book called Goodnight Moon. You guys have seen this book. You grew up with this book, right? She loves it. She loves the book. The problem is every time we read it to her, she starts arguing with us about whether she saw the moon. And it's just this huge debate, like, every night. And I'm like, no. It's like, it's right there through the window. It's cloudy. It doesn't count if it's cloudy. I'm like, no, seriously, it's right. It's past the bunny. It's past the bunny and the wind. The schedule. The schedule says the moon is right there. We don't go by the schedule. We go by whether we can see it like our ancestors did. I'm like, oh, jeez. Isna says the moon is right there. It's like, I didn't vote for them. We don't let them tell us what to do. I'm like, oh, okay, this is not cool. So here's what we do, right? Every night after we have this big argument, she just walks across, crawls, sort of walks across the floor, grabs one of her toy phones, and then she just calls a Saudi baby and just asks them if they saw the moon. And we just do whatever they say because they're Saudis, so they're in charge. Anyway, thank you so much. My name is Jeremy McLellan. I'll see you after the show. Thank you.